How very far he has fallen. To put it bluntly, Prince Harry, you done fucked up. Here was the playboy prince, largely liked by people, able to do more or less what he pleased, enjoying doing some charity work, going to Africa, rolling his sleeves up, going to Bonkers Night Spot and chucking back the vodka and tonics, and getting a girlfriend here and there. Life was pretty sweet for old Ginger Bollocks. And then came along a spider, and look at him now. Not talking to most of his family, doesn't even know his in-laws, having never met them, other than his mother-in-law, who keeps supplying him, presumably, with the good stuff to keep him in check. Ridiculed in the press, reviled by many people, dismay emanating towards him as a consequence of his behaviours. He looks grumpy, scowling, a shadow of his former self as a consequence of the sustained devaluation. But yet there's more. For Daniela Elsa compares the situation between Harry and his brother. Once upon a time, they were thick as thieves, looking out for one another, the older brother looking out for the younger, bonded together as a consequence of their peculiar life, of being in the royal family, and of course losing their mother at such young ages. They were brothers in arms, but that has all changed, and the fortunes of them have altered also, as Dania Elsa explains. Sometimes there are moments in this here wild ride of royal writing and thought-having that seem nearly to have been handed down by some higher power. This is the tale of two Instagram posts, two posts put out within about 36 hours of one another, and which exquisitely capture the wildly divergent paths that the lives of Prince William, destroyer of dog bowls, and Prince Harry, the Duke of Sussex, feeler of so many feelings, have taken. The first post came via a bit of all right, Nacho Figueres' Instagram account, the polo professional having spent last week travelling with Harry. First, the pals landed in Tokyo for a sports summit, before heading to Singapore where they took part in a charity polo tournament. While the world was trying quietly to get used to the new Harry on display in Asia, the smile upon whose face could not be wiped off, notice that, as I've mentioned in parts passing, how much happier he is away from Harry's wife, Figueres was keeping the world up to date with this Lads Gone Mild tour. There was the shot of them wearing aviators, captioned, "Shopping for our wives," in coordinating dadcore polo t-shirts, which probably sent the Duke's wife, Harry's wife, Duchess of Sussex, into a lather that he would bring her home some low-rent dreck. Then came an Instagram story via Figueres of the duo playing foosball, captioned, "First game to H, despite his squeaky performance. Now we ride," like they were off to Bosworth Field and not just to entertain wealthy Singaporeans sucking down cocktails. All unremarkable, lame stuff. If only 9,500 kilometres away, the Kensington Palace social media team had not been hard at managing to show up H's mini tour. On Friday, Buckingham Palace announced the redistribution of 21 military appointments, many that had been held by Her late Majesty, with the honorary roles being dished out like Smarties to the remaining tiny clutch of working HRHs. William and Kate picked up 6 new roles between them, something that their team then hyped up on social media by putting out a video that felt like a sizzle reel for Top Gun 3. There was the throbbing bass, the lingering sexy shots of helicopter rotor blades, the montage of images of a pleasingly diverse range of British servicemen and women defending the motherland. It might have looked more like a bit of marketing fluff put out by the military-industrial complex or someone who sells toilet seats to the Pentagon, but gee whizzikers, it's an effective bit of self-promotion. Don't just take my word for it, it was viewed more than 2.4 million times over the weekend. We can only assume that the ancient Greek god Momus, god of irony among other things, has been hard at work here. The contrast between these two social media outings could not be more sadly exquisite. In one, we have a man who managed to jettison his official standing and cashed in the import of his former working royal life to occasionally carpool with Ellen, I'm guessing, and the other, who is looking more and more like a Sun King in the making. Or, to put it another way, Harry, who served 2 tours on the front line of Afghanistan, is now trying to reclaim his lost lad Dom while on a jaunty mini-break, while his arch-nemeses, William and Kate, the woman who may or may not have made Harry's wife cry, are being given prestigious roles like sweeties. It looks nearly like the life that Harry wanted, where service is universal, and he can spend all day, every day, supporting the armed services, has somehow ended up going to his estranged brother, while he is left creating daggy influencer content with a former Ralph Lauren model. It's hard to imagine that this is the life the Duke envisaged back in late 2019 and the first days of 2020, when he and Harry's wife were sketching out their plans for a brave new Sussex world. Rather than touring military bases and enthusiastically shaking the hands of the people who put their lives on the line for the safety of Britain, Harry's day job is now trying to work out how to bring a romance novel to the screen to keep Netflix sweet. The last week has seen Harry cast even further off into the outer reaches of the royal universe, the Pluto of the princely pantheon. While the 38-year-old was busy filling his suitcase with Kewpie mayonnaise, the Buckingham Palace website was being updated, stripping the Sussex's HRHs from their entries, whilst also shunting them to nearly the bottom of the list. Last place was reserved for disgraced human Humpty Dumpty, Prince Andrew. The timing of all of this digital defenestration, happening right when Harry is returning to the spotlight after months of being tucked away behind the high walls and high dudgeon of the Sussex's Monty Shitshow compound, is curious. According to a new report from the Daily Mail's Richard Kay, there has been no cooling of tempers or defraying of pique inside the firm. He writes that a visceral bitterness, note visceral, not guttural, persists at the sustained attacks that Harry and Harry's wife have waged against family members through his memoir and their various television interviews. Meanwhile, next month, we'll see Harry, this time his designer darling Duchess by his side, pop over to Dusseldorf for the next Invictus Games. The timing means that the Sussexes will be in Europe only days after the first anniversary of his late grandmother, Elizabeth II's death. Could this be an opportunity for a bit of hands across the water moment? Some sort of pragmatic decision made to invite the Sussexes to Balmoral to do some emotional patching up? Absolutely not, according to reports which suggest that King Charles is still not particularly interested in getting that dusty olive branch of his out of the cupboard. Assertion of control by staying in a position of withdrawal. Here comes a bit more of Momus's handiwork, because while Harry and Harry's wife are being blanked by Team Windsor and in Germany, William and Kate will have just enjoyed seeing their star rise even higher. According to the Mirror, the Waleses are set to lead the tributes to Her late Majesty and will deliver a public message honouring the life and legacy of the monarch. Charles will reportedly spend the day privately at Balmoral, the same way that his mother religiously marked the passing of her father, George VI, annually at Sandringham, where he died in 1952. Not only might the Prince and Princess of Wales be about to get starring roles, but just to rub some Maldon salt into the Sussex wounds, a new Gallup poll last week found that Prince William was the most liked world leader out of a choice of 15 contenders, according to Americans. Next month, the heir to the throne will continue his accidental encroaching on Sussex territory when he arrives in New York for the Earthshot Innovation Summit. To return to the 2 social media posts we started with, really the story they tell us is like some sort of Alice in Wonderland scenario. While Harry has shrunk his place in the world and transformed himself into a much-reduced figure, William grows and grows in responsibility and palace lustre. I suppose we've long since gone through the looking glass here, and Nacho Figueras and his Instagram account are waiting on the other side. And what has caused all of this? Harry's involvement with a narcissist. Because the narcissist takes away from you, time and time again, and has resulted not only in Harry falling, but his brother going into the ascendancy as a consequence of the way that he and the rest of the family have responded to the behaviour of Harry's wife. and it creates a gulf. A gulf which is problematic to Harry's wife as she looks upon her ginger bollocks and thinks, why did I ever choose him? Because he's seen through the lens of being painted black. And she casts a wistful eye towards Prince William and once again thinks, he should have been mine. I'm H.G. Tudor. Thank you for listening.